Okay, and now to actually jump into like the moves themselves, like the actual move set. So her 112 in Injustice 1, I wouldn't even show it. Um, but for the most part, it's actually like it was incredibly useless. Like it had this one thing where it's like if you did 112 into a sword stance cancel, it was actually like the cancel advantage on block was so massively high that you can do 112 on block, cancel into sword stance, and still frame trap them afterwards. Like after the recovery of sword stance was up, you can actually go into a move and it would still frame trap them. So it was good in that sense, but outside of that, it had no purpose. And you know, like sword stance, it didn't have mix or anything like that. Like the most that you can do is just like frame trap them with like a whole bunch of highs and mids, and that was it, you know. So it still didn't really have utility in that sense. But that was it. The move itself, outside of that, just was ass. It sucked, you know. And that's kind of my thing in general. It's like you can have certain things that are good for like swag or stuff like that, but for the most part, when you're designing characters, their entire moveset should be useful. Like that's just good design. That's just proper design in general, like game design. Like everything should be useful. Everything should have a purpose. Especially if you give a character a really tiny ass move list where everything has to be multi-purpose, then everything must have a use. You know, you can't have useless strings. Like that's just such a horrible design. Like back 112. I know it jumped a little bit, but it's like back 112, like it has literally no purpose. Why would you give that to her? Why would you even throw in that string? For what purpose? And that's kind of how 112 was in Injustice 1. So I would actually change that. I would replace that 112 with her current 113, because this string is actually incredibly good. I would actually keep it the same. Like keep these moves exactly the same. Basically keep the string exactly the same. Keep everything about it the same. Like the whiff recovery, that last hit being an overhead. Have it, you know, have that gap in between. The same like 2 sword swipes. The only thing that I would change though is to make this 1 frame faster, because her standing 1 is 8 frames, but it's like for a jab that has like no fucking range, for it being a high, I think that it should just be like 1 frame faster. Just change it to 7 frames. I don't think that that's asking for much. If that is, then whatever, you know, it still works as it is now, but that's one slight change that I would make. But that would be it, just because, you know, it has like so much utility. So I would actually keep that exactly as it is. So that's that. When it comes to her down 1, like down 1-2, it's not bad, but it's just her Injustice 1 version was just much better. It was just better, period. Like 1, you can't really armor break with this. Like it's not reliable because that second hit is so slow. I'll go into the Injustice 1 clip with this, like I'll show the visual, but let me just explain the little background for it first over here. Like it's too slow, and the way that it hits, like when it's in juggles, that second hit will whiff, as you can see like that. Like it has too many inconsistencies, too many problems with it. But yeah, like I would just change it to the Injustice 1 version, and I would maintain the frame data, you know, like in the sense of it being on block afterwards. Like I would keep it like -7 afterwards, after the second hit. But keep the same animation, keep the same startup and all that stuff, like from the first game. So as you can see with like the down 1-2, like it's so much faster, as you can see. And it still has somewhat of that range, as you can see. But it's like, this is what made it so good, because realistically, she doesn't shred armor. And that's kind of like my little peeve. A lot of characters in the game, they have simple as armor shredding stuff. They press 1 button and they do 2 hits. Like Ivy, for example, is like notorious for this. Like literally half of Ivy's kit is 1 button does 2 hits. And she just gets to shred through armor so easily. That's why you can't even armor through like a huge portion of her gaps, is because everything is multi-hitting. So it's like, it's again a pointless gap. Same with like Catwoman, like that's what makes it so good. Like her standing 3-3 stagger, it's like it shreds through armor, it eats up non-invincible wake-ups. Like, stuff that's multi-hitting is just really, really good in general. Like, it has so many uses. Like, that's what made Melina in MK9 so good. Not MK9, MKX was her forward 1-2 string, you know, because of all those hits. And it's like, in Injustice 2, like, her down 1-2, it just does not have this property. Like, it's really not that good, not like this. Like, you can visually see how much faster it is. Like, you don't even need to look at the frame data. Like, you can just tell. Like, this is infinitely faster. So, yep. That's that, like, with down 1-2. And then for her back 1, honestly, majority of these strings, like back 1, 2, 2, honestly, all this shit is, like, it fucking sucks, to be honest. Like, it has its uses in this game, but ultimately, it sucks. I would remove this entirely and just give her back the back 1-1-3 string that she had in the first game. So to explain this part a little bit, because she's normally standing, you see, like, when she does her bash, how she goes from standing into she's, like, hovering now. It's actually almost the same exact animation as, like, her back one, like how it looks. It's almost the same exact thing, and I'll show the Injustice 1 version. It looks almost exactly the same, so that's how it would change in the game too. Like, that's how, you know, like, you can sort of visualize it. Like, she'll be standing, and then she'll go into, like, that little hover, as she goes into that, you know, like that jab, like that cross punch, when she goes into the back 1. So her back 1 and that back 1-1-3 in general, like, back 1 itself, as you can see, it was such a good, like, footsie tool, like, good at the neutral, because, you know, it's a mid, and it was an advancing mid, and as you can see, like I was mentioning, like, the visual, like the animation itself, you see how she, like, she's hovering, and she does, like, the hover cross punch. Like, it was a really, really good stagger. The only thing is, though, I would not maintain this frame data just because I think it's a little obnoxious. I don't know exactly what frame data to change it to, but I would definitely change it because this is +4, this is +3 on block. You know, like that, it's a little much, you know? Yeah, this is +4, +3, yeah. And then the full string itself was -1. That's totally fine. I would probably keep that, or maybe make it a little bit more negative. Because it's like -1. It's not bad. Obviously, it's not bad. It's only -1. But the thing is, it's like I would change certain properties of this. So that's why I'm just like, should I even make it -1? Or would I even make it -1? But basically, like, this itself was such a good stagger. I think I would make this neutral. And I would make this like -2 or something, you know. Sort of like Melina, like her back 1-2 sort of thing. And then I would change that, you know, to like whatever it is, like -1 or -2 itself also. Because it's like you can do stuff like this. I can't do instant dashes like all that well because it's on a pad. But you know, like, just to show you all this. So it's like, okay, that stuff itself, because that's what I was getting at. I would retain this, that you can actually cancel out of it afterwards. As you can see. So I would retain all that stuff. The only thing is, I would change this so that this does not launch anymore. I would change it so that it's just like a regular knockdown. Like, she does this and then just like kicks them away. So that the only thing that you can do, if you wanted to get a combo off of this, the best that you can do is just do like back 1-1-3 into the lasso, and that's it. Like, that's the only thing that will connect. So like normally I would go in order, in a sense of like you know, all like the 1s and the 2s and the 3s, kind of like I was covering everything, you know, like the back, like 1-1, back 1-1, down 1-2, whatever. And then I will go into the 2s. I'm gonna save the 2s for last, just so that it can help tie everything up. So like with her, I guess her down 3, just to start. Her down 3 is roughly the same exact thing as Injustice 1. The only thing is that it has a little bit more range in this version, but it's too slow. Like, it's a frame safer, I believe, than in the first game. It's 2 frames safer. But the thing is, it's like that does me no good if it's too damn slow, you know? Because the reason why it was so good, and you can clearly tell that this is their intention when they designed this move, it was a means to low profile. This is a low profiling sweep, and it's not the only low profiling sweep in the game. The thing is, you have characters like Canary that has a 10 frame sweep that's only -2 on block, that low profiles. Enchantress has a 9 frame sweep. Like, you know, like a lot of characters have these really quick sweeps that put them in a low profiling state, or like they go like in a crouching state at the very least, you know, because obviously it's a sweep and they're still safe. The problem with her is that this is 15 frames, you know, and it doesn't even have that much range to begin with. So if the intention is low profile, at least make it like the Injustice 1 version. Because Injustice 1 version, I think it was like -6. I'll look up the frame data when I show that clip, like in a couple of seconds, but it was like -6 and it was 11 frames, which is ideal if you're trying to low profile on reaction, because majority of the time it's not to do it, you know, it's like, oh, let me just low profile whenever I feel like it. It's not really like that. It's, if you're using it, if the intention is to low profile on reaction, that means it needs to be fast enough so that when you get those properties in, when those properties take effect, it can actually benefit you, you know? It's like, okay, look, let's say this low profiles, but it takes 20 frames, and you're trying to react to something like, you know, it doesn't matter if your reactions are on point. If it's too slow, if the move itself is too slow, it's not going to benefit you, you know? So it's like, I can understand that 11 frames might be too quick. Honestly, I can live with 12 frames because that's how, you know, like MK sweeps were. It was like you can reliably low profile a lot of things with a 12 frame sweep. You know, like that was fine. So I can live with that. That's totally fine. But 15 frames is too slow for a sweep. You know, like that's just too slow. It's a sweep. You're not getting massive damage off of this, you know? Like, relax. Like, there's no reason for it to be 15 frames. So yeah, like with her down 3, as you can see, like you can literally tell that it's just faster. So yeah, her standing 3, I would just remove that shit altogether. It was stupid in the first game with her sword stance. It's still kind of fucking stupid and useless now. It's only good for BMBs. And even then, it's like, it's still, like the way that it affects the gravity, it's still so irritating and such a pain to deal with. It's like, you can main this character for all this time, you can put in all these hours, and you're still getting inconsistencies. Like, what the hell, you know? Like, what's the reward for grinding if it's still not even gonna work properly? And it still is only situational for certain things. So I would remove that 3, this hideous ass 3 altogether. It even looks stupid, to be honest. And I would give her back her 3-3 from Injustice 1. Now for like her 3-3, like what I would change it to, like obviously I would give her back this one. I would keep the same properties. I would keep it being a low starter, except one, on block. On block, this is +2. Obviously, I would remove that. It should be, I would make it like -2, -3, or whatever. Maybe neutral, I don't know. Just because it's like, I would change it to that, right? I would remove the plus frames from it, and I would, again, remove the ability that it launches. Because with this, you just do this, it's like you see that it hits, oh, you just get a combo for it. Like, no. I would do it so that if it does hit them, it does a knockdown. Same exact thing as the back 113. Same exact thing. It just knocks them down. I would let it be able to cancel out, but I think this is still like a little much because it just gives you license to do whatever you want. Oh, I forgot that. Fucking. I'll just do refill. Yeah. Because this still gives you license to just like mix for free because you always have insurance if you have a bar. So again, I would just do it so that like if you do cancel, the only thing that will connect is like a lasso on hit, you know. So that way it still is a little bit of damage, but it's not going to stack up that much. Like you're gonna have to do it like 5, 6, 7 times for it to actually be anything meaningful. So as you can see, her back three, like one, it looks cooler, but it has much better range. As you can see. It's actually kind of reminiscent of Starfire. But I think Starfire actually still has more range. So see, like with this, I wouldn't mind trading the plus frames afterwards. Honestly, something with this much range shouldn't even be plus to begin with. So that's totally okay with me, that's fine. But it's like, her having this range just would help her out so much more. And then I would give her this back. Like, give her back. Why does Batman have this? You know? Like, they took hers away and then they let Batman keep his. Like, that makes no sense. Give her this back. Because this is honestly, this was the main source of like any of her dirt. Because you had like cross-up setups like that. As you can see. Like, obviously I fucked up right there, but that was the real reason why it was so good, was because it was the source of her dirt in the corner. Like that and the OTG. I would remove the OTG, but it's like, at least let her keep this, you know? Yeah, like as you can see, it's just, it has like no range. Like her back three and her forward three have such little ass range. Like if I'm over here, look, I'm not going that far at all. Like, I understand that back threes shouldn't have that much range. The only thing is, with a character like her, with the way that she's designed to play, like, at least give it some range. Especially with the way that other back threes are. Like, I think she has the shortest range back threes and forward threes, like, out of the entire cast. Because, even, like, with the forward three, it's not gonna snag people out of the air, like, if they're jumping at her, you know? Like the way that other forward threes are, like if they don't have that much range, it behaves like a hammer. So it's actually like covering the entire vertical space, you know, above them, while also hitting in front at the same exact time. And then you still have characters like Ivy that can become a fucking hammer and do it from like half screen, and she's still plus afterwards. You have half screen back threes, you know, like Starfire, like Hellboy. Who the hell else is there? Firestorm, you know, and or Enchantress with her forward threes that she can even change the directions and everything. Like, there's so many back threes and forward threes that are just so good, and they just cover so much range. Even her Injustice 1 version, it wouldn't even cover as much range as theirs, but it would just at least help her out. Personally, I wouldn't even care if they made them like neutral and block. Like, I personally wouldn't give two fucks. Like, just give it the range. Like the startup and the range, totally set, perfectly fine. You know, that's all I'm asking for. I mean, of course, it would help if it was a little plus. Even +1 would be fine. Because at least if it's gonna leave them next to, like, if it's gonna leave the opponent next to her afterwards, that's perfectly fine because she has a 6 frame down one, so she can at least frame trap. You know, so that's fine. +1 is totally fine. Even neutral is fine. But again, it's really just, it's the startup and the range. That's the things, those are the things that matter the most when it comes to like those specific moves. Alright, so now for the twos. So for the twos, I'm actually going to cover the two part itself afterwards. But it's like her down two. It's actually fucking hilarious. I never realized it, but I'll show you the clip afterwards. I'll show you the visual for the Injustice 1 version afterwards. But it's like, you know what? I like how this is in a neutral. I like that it's a decent neutral mid. So I would actually keep it like how it is in this version, like in the Injustice 2 version. Like how it is. The only thing that I would change though is make it 1 frame or 2 frames faster. Because, come the fuck on, you can't do this on reaction. You can't use a 13 frame down 2 that's only active for like a split second. You can't do this on reaction to, you know, like low arc stuff. Because it's one of the slowest down 2s in the entire game. I think Ivy's is probably the only other one that's slow. Like everybody else, you have Batman with a 6 frame down 2. Most of the other characters have 7 frame down 2s, 8 frame down 2s, 9 frame down 2s. Hers is 13, you know? Like realistically speaking, because a huge chunk of the roster has 7 or 8 frame down 2s, hers is almost twice as slow. like if you're looking at it into perspective, like if you're really putting it into perspective, it is twice as slow, and it doesn't dig her into the ground like how Flash is down 2 is, like how Catwoman's down 2 is, like Batman, like Enchantress. It doesn't have a phantom hit region like Atom also, you know, like her down 2, it doesn't have all those cool ass properties. It doesn't have some stupid range like Ivy. It doesn't become a wall like Ivy's that you can just mash it, you know, without caring at all, because you're really not gonna get whiff punished realistically, and it's actually safe on block, so you're not gonna get punished either way. I think it's -8, so technically it's not 100% safe, but with the pushback that it has, it might as well be, you know, like it's basically safe. But it's like the fact that this is also like -11, I believe. Yeah, -11. It's slow as hell. It doesn't hit behind her as much as people claim for it to do. It's just make it like a frame or two faster. That's all. You know? Because it's like every other down 2, like they have all of these extra benefits to them. Like Ivy's is slow, but she can just throw it out whenever because it stays active for such a long time. She basically sets up a wall that launches, and she's safe afterwards, like in recovery. You know, Wonder Woman, she can't just do this, she can't just mash this and then hope for the best. You know, like her best case scenario is that she doesn't get punished on whiff, and that's it. You know, that's not really a good enough reason, you know. And then the other down 2s, because it puts them so low into the ground and they're so fast in startup, they're able to always do it on reaction for the most part, you know. Like 9 out of 10 times you can just down 2 on reaction to like anything. And it's just so easy to anti-air people in general. So I would just make it, like if you're gonna keep it the same, you're not gonna give it any extra properties or anything like that, just make it like a frame or two faster. Because it's still going to be 12 or 11 frames, you know, for a down 2, so that I feel like that's still reasonable. And then everything else can stay the same, you know, like it being -11 on block, that'll be fine. The whiff recovery, all that stuff, that's fine, whatever. But it's just the startup itself. Because it's like a frame or two, it doesn't sound like much, but it really does make all the difference. So yeah, this is what I was mentioning, like with the down 2. Look at this little ass lasso. Like it's so tiny, like it's so fucking little. It's kind of cute, but you know, it's really fucking ridiculous at the same time. So for her back 2 and forward 2, I wouldn't even give her a forward 2. I know in this game she has a forward 2, but in the first one she didn't. I don't see the purpose of even giving her a forward 2. I personally wouldn't. Like I would just remove that altogether. But it's in the sense of the back 2, I would keep the range of this. Of course, like I mentioned at the start, I would fix it so that if it's hitting people in the air, if it's going through their bodies in the air, it actually registers like a hit and they get hit, you know? Because as you can see, like it reels them back. So it's not like she's gonna get a combo off of this. She's not gonna get a full-blown BMD, you know? Like her best case scenario is this. That's roughly like 16% realistically. Okay? Let's say we just low ball it just a tiny bit, because I would actually damage nerf her a little bit in the long run, but I'll explain all that stuff afterwards. Let's say it's 15%. It would take about 7 of these to actually kill the opponent. If your opponent is constantly disrespecting and they're constantly jumping around to eat this 7 times, then they fucking deserve it, plain and simply, you know? Like, I don't care if this technically isn't supposed to be an anti-air. It's whipping around right in front of you. Like, it should hit people that are crossing its path, plain and simply. Like, that's just how moves should behave. That's how every other move in the game behaves. So why not this one? Like, she's not getting any special properties off of it, you know? And also, realistically, it's like, look, I'll put them to always, right? Blocking always. If you're constantly canceling into this and they just duck it, because of the recovery that Lasso has and they just avoid it, they can just punish you afterwards for it. So you can't just be a retard about this, you know? You can't just keep on throwing this out the way, just like this. So that's that for the visual stuff and the range. Like I would keep that, like I would keep that range, and I would keep the range of back to 3. Just because I'm going to show you how it is. See, this I would fix though. Like again, if it's crossing through people, it needs to hit them. Just like that. Like if it's crossing through people, it should hit them. I feel like this is just common fucking sense. You know, like, I know I sound like so stressed about it, and I low-key kind of am. The thing is, it's just common sense, you know. Like it just is. Like I don't see how that's asking for much. But it's like I would keep the range that this has, because I'm gonna show you the Injustice 1 version, and you'll definitely see the difference, and I'll explain the little bits, like the little fine print stuff, just because while I want to keep the range, I don't like the startup of it. I would change it, I would revert it back to the Injustice 1 frame data, because I don't really care that this is +5 on block. Honestly, it's too slow, and the gap can still get blown up by smart players, and it's like constantly trying to worry about a gap, you know, over something that doesn't even get you a combo in the first place. Like that's just really irritating, you know. Like you don't get a combo off of it, you don't even get a hard knockdown, and yet you still gotta pay attention and worry about a gap that can be blown up, that can full combo punish you. You know, like that's just really stupid. You're not even doing massive chip either. Like, where is it? Always. Like, look at this. Where is the chip? You know, like, there's just no reason why there should be a gap or something like that. So I'll explain all of that stuff in the Injustice 1 part, like right now. So yeah, as you can see, back to, like, you can see one, like, you can see, like, it has more range in this version. But it's like, I would keep the overhead properties, obviously, because, again, you're not going to get a combo from this. Like, unless you're, like, directly on top of them. And even, well, this is harder to, like, try to remind myself what the timing is for this. But it's like you still don't even get like a huge combo. Oh, that's how that went. But yeah, I would like tone down her damage in general anyways. But it's like I would keep that. I would actually make this like back 2 on its own. I would probably make it maybe like -6, -7. But it's like, as you can tell, like the speed of this itself, this is just so much better. In this game, in this version, this is a hard knockdown, but in Injustice 2 it's not. I don't mind it not being a hard knockdown, but at least let it retain this speed, you know? Like, it feels stronger in general. Like, it's so much more fun to use, but then also it has better utility. And I would keep the frame data for this one. I don't mind sacrificing. This one's, I think it's like -5? Oh, -4. I would change it to -5. That's totally fine with me. I would change it to -5 on block. Like, that's totally cool. Alrighty, so now finally for like the 2. So yeah, I would honestly just get rid of this whole string. Just throw the whole string away. Nobody would miss it. And I would give her back her Injustice 1, 2, 3. And I'll explain all that 2, 3 stuff in the Injustice 1 part, like right now. So now to finally show like the 2, 3. So 2, 3, 1, it has this awesome range, right? And it's like quick startup, it's 2 mids. The thing that I would keep and change with this, basically all of her other launchers from this version, like from Injustice 1, they would no longer launch in this new version. This, however, I would keep it so that it has its launching properties. So that way, if you do like land a hit, like let's say if you land like an air-to-air, I'll show you real quick. Like if you do this, you can get this whole thing going. You can't do this in Injustice 2, like whatsoever at all. Like if you land in air to air, you can't even do like a down to into that, like nothing will connect, but you can do this in this game. So that's mainly the reason why I would keep this. I would keep it so that you get like these little meterless benefits for, you know, like counter hitting your opponent. So I would keep it so that it retains that property. The only thing is, I would make it so that this string on its own, 2-3, would be, it's always punishable on block. I'll make it like -12, -15, somewhere in there, right? I'll make it so that's so negative, and then I would change the cancel advantage also. Cancel advantage on block, so that it's like it's only like +1 to cancel advantage. So that way, every single character can always punish her. If they see her do 2-3, kind of like with Supergirl also. It's like when you see Supergirl do like back 1-2, or even like if she does down 1. Obviously down 1 is like really fast, so it's a little hard to get like reactionary to it. But it's like if you see Supergirl do down 1, literally everybody can just like mash down 1 right back. It doesn't matter what she does, she's always gonna get hit. Same with like back 1-2. Like if you know the timing for Supergirl's back 1-2, like that little gap in between, like if she decides to do a cancel, you can always interrupt her if you have like a 6-frame move. With this, I would change it so that the cancel advantage on block is only like +1, so that way every single character can always get a punish. So that way she can't use this move unless she knows that it's hitting, unless it's for a combo. So that way it doesn't matter what she cancels into, except for maybe like the bash. Again, I'll go over the bash in the specials part, the whole if thing, like if it gets carried over, because it would be, you know, like it would keep the whole 8-frame shit, right? But even then, it's like it would still, like if it's a 6-frame poke, it'll still be able to beat it out. You would have to reframe perfect, but it still can. But it's like that way she literally can't cancel into anything at all. Like it's always gonna get stuffed. Like if she cancels into anything after this. But yeah, that's how this one would move. How it would work. How I would keep it. And like transfer it over. So that's